And so, retrocognition of past events and people, I actually have the spirit of connecting with the spirit that has lived inside of people and enlightened people, and I can have dreams, and I have, like, memory of all the dreams I've ever had since I was born. And I started dreaming at, like, the age of 3 or 4, and I actually remember all of those dreams. So, when I was 3 or 4, the only difference was they weren't like blocks and like things putting themselves together, because usually you celebrate the Jewish celebrate the men becoming like men at 15, 14, because your dream cognition is full, and then you can like understand things through dreams and gifts. But like for me, I was born out of that darkness, so it just looked like darkness, and like just dark waters, and then more and more and more gold and colors, and then like I grew 3 memory banks for the Trinity of God, and then I can remember everything. And sometimes I'd have a dream, and it would be dreamt once with the Spirit, once with Jesus, and then once with the Father, and so then I would actually have memory of having been, I would have a dream. I would have more than just lucid dreaming. I would have deja vu inside a lucid dream. So then later, I would get a deja vu where I realized I had dreamt that I had been here. And I realized that I'm in the place that I dreamed, and I was over there, and I was with like an angelic spirit, which was my light body, telling me something there, looking at me right here, thinking that I'm doing something bad. And I hated that in high school, because I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm doing something bad. I've seen myself here before. I've seen in a dream. And, like, it just really freaked me out. So I kept having, like, until I got 5th level deja vus, and then the DMT would explode, and as it did, all these different levels of extra peripheral consciousness started to happen, where, like, the thing is, the spoon isn't real, so you have to realize that it's not real. So I went through the study of a bunch of philosophies, theologies, Eastern religions, occultic texts, all kinds of shit, because I was led to it. You know, these books were given to me, or I would find them. Now, the one thing I have to say about Aleister Crowley is that he's a dangerous being, and that you should be careful when you deal with any book that he has written. His texts are misconjugulant. You have to already be able to understand it to understand it. It is an enchantment, and it can blind you, because it is meant to be a hermetic text in which you are isolated in an occultic position to read and study. And if you are not doing that, it will blind you from shit. So you have to be careful, because like it will make you hyper-focus, like as you're studying it, on that form of magic so much that you understand it, so that you will miss other forms of magic. For instance, with me, people would write shit on the ground, and I was homeless when I was studying Aleister Crowley's Thoth, and I had the Thoth book with me, and then my friend, he did some drugs, but I didn't know that that's what he was doing, and he grabbed the book and he screamed at me and he threw it into the garbage, and I went up to get it, and I looked on the ground and I saw writing, and I was like, was that there before? I remember that this, like, you know, writing has been on this goddamn place that we sit forever. You know, somebody graffitied it, it's been there forever. And I didn't see it. And I just, like, I got the book and I walked back, and then I didn't see it, and then I put the book back and I walked back, and I was, like, doing it meditatively, and I was like, oh my God! So, when I was homeless, I had a lot of situations that would get me to that, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? And I would get to that moment because you can't explain it. Like, it's just something is rearranging reality. And so I wasn't much of, like, an existentialist. I was actually, like, more of a Christian and believed that, like, you know, and, like, then cause and effect just started. I just started seeing it. And it just started like being like everything is a shape, a color, a symbol, and when crazy shit happens or bad things happen or the connotation of something out of control, if you feel a weird eeriness and you pay attention to things, there are things causing people, they're agents to do things. There's like a spiritual battle going on. And so people are not self-aware. So they get consumed by desires, and there are higher energy beings at play using people for their agents. And sometimes they're even like government officials and occultic people who understand that people are controlled by their agents. And so divination, insight to stuff using occultic techniques. For me, it was the tarot cards. You know, at first this was crystals and essential oils were something I always were into. So when the church was like, oh, that's just not Christian, and then they let it, and then they wrote a book about it, that was my definition of go fuck yourself. You know, because of my insight into the scriptures and their attachment to their authority. So, Reiki is another thing. I did not know I was a Reiki healer. And people would ask to, like, they would pay me when I was homeless, and they're homeless. And I performed Reiki surgery on this one lady, and I looked down at my hand, and I did it to her heart. And she said she felt it, and she was really freaked out. And I just did it intuitively. I had no idea I had this gift. But I took my hand and I put it in the water, and then I put it outside in the moon and made a little... I just did all this weird occultic shit, and I didn't even know... Like, I thought I was just, entertaining myself. And then when I told somebody about it, they're like, Victoria, that's Reiki healing. That's like highly advanced Reiki healing. And so then I met another spiritual being who had that gift, and I began to understand, like, little things that they would do. And so I learned techniques to be able to handle that energy and use it well. And then mediumship didn't hit me until I had an after-death experience. And then I did some of my first practices with mediumship because I was with my husband who accepts seeing with your third eye, and we have the weirdest conversations. And so we sat over Bruce Lee's grave. I had a hat. I looked like a witch. It was like a situation. And, like, I went ahead, I was really tired, and we're homeless, and we're roughing it out. I sit there, and I'm like, oh, God, I made it to your grave, Bruce. There's some weird shit going on near your dojo. What's going on? And he's like, Mom! And then I, like, danced with the dragon. And he only gave me, like, one sentence. And, like, I meditated until his kundalini, like, done roll up in my kundalinis. And it was like he was, like, on a higher plane, but, like, his dead body was underneath me. And so it was like this, like advanced, like, level of, like, shamanism. And, like, I got, like, a sentence out of it. And, like, people followed us, like, in procession to his grave to see me do this. And so that was some weird shit, bro. And then there was psychometry, where I walk past someone and it's like a form of anxiety, and I'm like, bitch, you know something. I open up my eye to see their aura, like their halo, and then I absorb information from their halo. And all of a sudden, it's like telekinesis, like the universe just goes, oh, like a massive download. And then, like, I could turn around, and, like, from there on, that opens the door to hear their thoughts. And then when I go home, and I want to take a nap, and I've had some caffeine and suppressed my adenosine, and I'm, like, falling asleep, all I hear as I'm falling asleep is, like, all these voices and all these motherfuckers talking. I hear it for, like, miles in each direction. It's like that, like, scene in Daredevil where he hears all that shit when he wakes up. And I'm like, Christ almighty, shut up! So that's what it's like, and it's very not a good thing. It's a form of anxiety. Like, it opens up into your third eye and higher consciousness and light body. And then telekinesis goes along with that, and telekinesis is dangerous because it's a really hard one to control. It's hard to control because if you don't have, if you don't meditate a lot, you can't control it. Even if you did, I don't think you could control it. With the level of my third eye, I don't think that would work. It goes from the front to the back of your head, and you're listening to the people and the sound in between the sounds in a very meditative state. Like, for instance, on the bus, and people start to get uncomfortable. Because the more meditative you get, the more out of body you get. And the more in the back of your brain you get, the more forward your energy projects. And you can have a scorpion tail, you can have tentacles, you can really fuck shit up. I've never, materialized shit. I'm pretty sure it was, a dark entity that, materialized a plate in the middle of the Dollar Tree, and there's no plates that color in the whole store, and it was the scariest feeling. The dude who was picking it up almost pissed himself, literally, and it was really freaky. And so I think that was an entity. And then the way we got housing is a really naughty man was trying to trick us. In between the day that he tricked us and he didn't trick us, some dark shit happened to him. And, in the moment that he was tricking us, we didn't even literally know he was tricking us. And we were, down like a clown to get a job and get all this stuff done. And my husband even got tricked because he wanted the migrator good. And, the dude gets possessed. He doesn't recognize us. He comes out of the bathroom, doesn't recognize us, walks straight past us, gets in his car, and takes off with our shit. And the whole time he was trying to con us, but then, something, what donkey was going on. And so he had been messing with, occultic dark spirits that would, possess him